Hearty welcome to Jnanarjane Empowering Excellence. Friends, today Wednesday Study Circle, we have selected a very important and apt topic for study circle, which is very interesting and coming up. That is sustainability reporting or emerging issues or ESG reporting. Environment, social and governance. ESG represents risk and opportunities that will impact a company's ability to create long-term value, including climate change and resource scarcity, safety issues, and data security, board diversity, exclusive executive pay, and tax transparency. Currently, it may be for large listed companies, and it is voluntary in this year 21-22. But I think SEBI made it mandatory from 22-23 for large capitalized, market capitalized companies of 1,000 large companies. It becomes mandatory, this ECG or ERSR reporting. Friends, to enlighten on this topic, we are really fortunate to have an eminent personality having vast experience in this sector, having more than 25 years of professional accomplishment in strategic and general management. She has expertise in the domain of sustainability, ESG, responsible supply chain, climate finance, which helped companies in business continuity, growth, and M&A. Besides, she is hands-on in policy advocacy, regulatory, ESG, and climate policy reforms for energy, financial, and industrial sector with a proven record of developing climate response, governance, reporting, disclosures, and resource management framework for managements and boards. She has contributed to the power, steel, and mining sectors by engaging externally as a certified sustainability assurance practitioner with the working knowledge of stakeholder engagement and sustainability reporting. A member of drafting committee for National Voluntary Guidelines for Ministry of Corporate Affairs, Renewable Energy Core Team member for promoting renewable energy technologies as an alternate source of energy. National Climate Change Council member for deliberating and positioning India on the world map in global climate negotiations, also a steering committee member for water mission and quality awards for industry with trade councils. This is none other than Taruna Saxena. She is having vast experience in this line. We are really fortunate to have her here to enlighten us on this topic, sustainability reporting. On behalf of Bangalore branch and on behalf of all the participants here, hearty welcome to Taruna. Hearty welcome, ma'am.
Thank you so much, Mr. Shetty, and to be, I'm privileged to be here with among all of you, and thanks for a very kind introduction.
Friends, you are the participants are the reason for our Wednesday study circle. Week after week, your energy, your enthusiasm to learn new things made us to organize this Wednesday study circle week after week. So hearty welcome to each one of you. Bangalore branch, your branch is conducting many other programs. Please visit bangalorei.org for all our upcoming programs. In addition to that, I just wish to inform you, Bangalore branch election, plenary election is going to happen on 28th. Earlier it was fixed for 29th. Due to our COVID restrictions and weekend curfew, we preponed it to 28th. New notice will come to all of you. So I request, please look into it, and those who are interested, please participate in the election for the managing committee of Bangalore branch. With that note, once again, hearty welcome to each one of you. Over to Madam Saxena.
Thank you so much, Mr. Shetty, and a warm welcome to everyone. Wish you all a very happy and prosperous new year. We are entering a new year with a new topic, which is sustainability. And I think I must compliment ICAI at the national level they are putting sustainability at the center stage of ICAI practice. And I think what I have really recently read, that they are trying to strengthen the sustainability ecosystem of ICAI, driving all the sustainable development goals through all of you being a part of the whole group. And they are also going to start some certification courses, trying to launch some awards on the best practices in the areas of adoption of climate risk disclosures, afforestation, e-mobility, and the green building. So it's very commendable that they have identified these topics which are very relevant for today's time and age where we are in at the present moment. We all know that Earth is exploding with people. We have 5 billion today. We will be 7 billion by 2050. And the today's topic is very relevant, which is going to talk about the sustainability reporting and emerging issues and trends, in the sector of sustainability reporting. So I must say that ICAI has a role to play, and we will discuss along the lines that what role ICAI can play in the sustainability journey of the corporations, and in the present day context, with working closely with SEBI. But today's agenda, we are going to talk about the sustainability reporting and emerging trends. But before moving to the actual agenda of today, we will need to build some understanding and consensus on few important concepts. So I'll first take up, what. So the first is that what is sustainability? We all know what is environment, we all know what is society or community, and we know what is finance, or what is economy, or what is profitability. But actually, if you see, everything is a subset of environment. And when we talk of this, the triple bottom line approach, that means all these three pillars are the foundation of any corporation. And we have to be, or maybe at an individual level, if we want to be financially stable, we need to see that how our society, our community is performing. We also need to contribute to the environment. So I think it goes hand in hand. At the individual level, we need to just see there will be different levels of initiatives which we can drive at the individual level in our communities, and we are seeing that in and around us these days quite often. So this is a triple bottom line approach which came into light in 1975, 1980, that time, that period, because they were that before that, companies were making more of profit. They wanted to have a shareholder value, and the concept of that we need to have this triple bottom line concept. We need to be little conscious towards community and society to keep our brand going forward positively or constructively. So this approach came into existence, and later on in 1987, around 85, 87, this whole thing came as a sustainability. So the sustainability basically is simply defined as something that improves the quality of life while living within the carrying capacities of supporting ecosystems. So we should not use ecosystem services to the extent we, to meet the present day need by consuming the future generations share as well. So that's the whole concept of the sustainability which came into light in 1987. And it only just, again, I'll repeat, the meeting the needs of the present without compromising the ability of the future generations to meet their own needs. So that was the concept which was based, and it is again taking a center stage. And if you remember, some of you might remember that earlier during the industrialization and during in the early 19, after the independence, we saw that when the industries were coming up and the chimneys were having smoke and fire, we used to say, oh, this is a prospering industry and this is doing wonders and this is very successful. But today, if you see, you will say, no, this is a polluting industry, and they need to do something to control their pollution. So I think that's a mindset change which we have seen in our lifetimes, and that's what is about sustainability. And that's the concept which has now come to, to the level that we are becoming very, very conscious towards our footprint, whether it is towards environment, water, waste, or anything of that sort. So that's basically is sustainability. And you must have seen that society plays an important role. We need to educate people, and this is one session which we are trying to do, is creating awareness on sustainability through this forum. The second concept, which is also very important for us to know and to be on the same page before discussing the trends and the sustainable reporting, so I think that's about climate change. So as me and Mr. Shetty, we were just interacting before the meeting that how the Bangalore is having rains in this season, and the climate, we are facing this precipitation happening every now and then, and around us we see a lot of cyclones, a lot of natural calamities happening, and that's what we have seen, for some time. And this is just 1 degree rise in temperature since the pre-industrial era. And and that's what the problem is, that we need to restrict the average mean temperature of Earth to below 2 degrees Celsius by 2100. So if that is a climate emergency target which we have, and we have already consumed, we have reached 1 degree. We are just left with some, and I think as we speak, I think we have crossed 1 degree because we are doing deforestation and there are no adaptation strategies coming in place. So I think you can see through this diagram that how, if I just put this, we are here right now. So you can imagine if if this will rise to this level, then what kind of impacts we will see on the planet Earth, which is the only living planet in the solar system. So this is a big ask, and that's why these all standards, these all directives, these all guidelines are coming in place. So this is what the climate change is bringing. And climate change is nothing but it is just the CO2 concentration in the atmosphere, or so to say greenhouse gases. It's not only the carbon dioxide, it is carbon monoxide, SF6, hydrofluorocarbons, other types of methane. So these are different carbon gases which are coming in the atmosphere and creating this warming. It is staying in the atmosphere for a very, very long time. And that's the reason we need to see that this should be avoided. And why this is happening? This is happening because of the more anthropogenic reasons, which is like the industry or human reasons. So these are the reasons, and we need to see that how we can restrict. There are a lot of intergovernmental panels on climate change. There are a lot of conference of party meetings which have happened. And the UN is also trying to drive these initiatives through Conference of Parties, through the UNFCCC framework, which is the United Nations Combat Climate Change Framework. So there's a lot of conversation happening on this. And if I just take you through, you might be knowing there was a Paris Agreement in 2015, which was the COP21, where they put the nations and asked the nations that they need to take targets for their reduction. And every nation came out and they said that they will be reducing 30 to 40 or 50% of their present day carbon dioxide emission to the developed countries said that they will be coming to the 1990 levels. And the developing world said that they should come to the 2005 levels of their carbon dioxide emission. And then based on that, they have taken nationally determined goals. They have taken some goals, and these goals are mentioned on this. You can see India took a goal of 35% reduction in the intensity of emission per unit of GDP in 2030 versus 2005, and 40% of electricity to be sourced from non-fossil fuel sources by 2030. And you might have seen a lot of renewable energy coming, in the grid from the renewable sources. We have solar as a major renewable energy source, and our Prime Minister also launched International Solar Alliance and One Sun, One World, One Grid. based on which he wanted to connect the globe through solar, and he wanted to have one grid across the globe with various interconnections, because the energy can be consumed across the globe, without any difficulty, and it can lead the world. So those are the aspirations people are having. And India, and then if you see, I think EU is another important sector, because they said 40% reduction in 2030 versus 1990 levels. But before COP26, which happened in Glasgow, they said that they will be having fit for 55. So they will be doing 55% reduction on their 1990 levels by 2030. And based on that, you might have read in the newspapers recently that Germany said that they will close down all the plants, coal-based and also the nuclear, going forward for the safety and of the environment. So these are various things which are happening. The US has to play a role, India has to play a role, Europe has to play, EU has to play a role there. China has to play a very, very big role, because China is the second largest polluter in the world after US. And so these are the things which are basically the concepts on which the discussions are going to be built in the coming slides. The next concept, if I talk about, is if you look at this slide, you will see that what is the overshoot day. We are consuming resources every day, every single day, and Earth is replenishing those resources in the real time. But what's happening, we are consuming much more resources than what Earth is trying to regenerate biologically. What the present day says that we are consuming nearly 1.7 times of the Earth's capacity as a whole of globe. But if you see country-wise, if US is consuming, per capita, they are consuming they are living on, they have 5 Earths. Similarly, you can see this chart, which shows that how each country is having the consumption patterns. And so if you see India, we are much better, because we are consuming 0.7% of our capacities. But the impact of this whole climate change and the capacity consumption would be coming to each and every humanity which is living on the Earth. So these are the few concepts which are important for us to know. Other similar concepts which are key for designing the sustainability strategy at some point in time is the conservation of biodiversity. There's a red list of biodiversity which is published by every year. They say that, okay, which are the species which are going to extinct, and based on that, how we can conserve some of the species. We have seen some of the initiatives driven even in the country to conserve tigers and to conserve, the species which are going to impact the ecosystem, whether it is the terrestrial or the maybe aquatic ecosystem. So that's what is going to be important, the conservation of biodiversity, because it is very important. A role of a small fly or a role of a small bee is as important as anybody, like us. So, and people say that human are the human are the more versatile and the more what you call it, they can accept of the change so fast. They are so adaptive that they will be living on the planet till the end, till all the species will extinct. So those are the conversations which are happening. The second concept is very important. Again, the other concept is the natural capital valuation. When the bigger industry is coming up, we are trying to create impact on the ecology, on the ecosystem, on the environment. So this is important, that whatever we are trying to do in setting up a big plant, for example, a big industry, we need to see that mitigation plan. And what is the value of air or oxygen, or the value of water, of pure water. We have seen all of that. And I think after the pandemic second wave, we have realized that the cost of oxygen, right? So that's important. We never calculate that.
In between some questions, or you take the question at the end?
Yeah, we can do that. I think
here I have a question.
Yes,
So
Mr.
you
Shetty.
see that your screen shows how many Earth would we need if everyone lived like USA. There is a five. It means all developed countries so far used all the resources, everything. Now all this sustainability reporting is coming to again for the underdeveloped countries like India. India's average usage is zero point 0.7. So how exactly it works?
So, Mr. Shetty, as I told you that the earth replenishes by itself, right? So if, we need to change the consumption pattern for sure, and we need to bring in initiatives. So it's not that the developing world is facing all the, impact of this. The developed countries are also having a lot of pressure.
No, they in fact I'm talking about they have to pay for this replenishing.
So that's the debate. That's the debate, and that's what happened in COP26, where they pledged $100 billion year on year as a green climate fund to be given to the developing countries, because the impact which we are seeing today is not created today, and obviously carbon dioxide has no boundaries of the countries. So it was discussed in 2010 that the developed countries will keep aside $100 billion year on year for the developing countries to leapfrog in their technology, to leapfrog in their initiatives, so that they will not miss out the development part. Because obviously, if we are seeing India today, we are developing, we are just creating highways, we are trying to give every 1000 people, if we see in India, 15 people have only cars, right? But if you see Western countries, everybody, I think they have 900 people out of 1000 have cars in US. So I think those are the disconnects, and based on that only there were negotiations which were happening in the conference of parties at various levels, and there is the disconnect, because we are not getting the money to do that all initiatives or drive initiatives, the kind of money which we should get. So obviously, I agree that there is a disconnect, and but as a country, as a nation, we have committed 2070 as a net neutrality year or net zero year for India. Whereas there was a lot of pressure from the G20 nations that if you will not commit, then we will not give any funds for development. So there was a lot of pressure, and India committed 2070, China committed 2060 for net neutrality. And net neutrality is nothing but, you need to be, you have to have zero carbon emission, or from that year. That means you need to see that how you are mitigating carbon emission by 2070, 100%. So that's the whole game. But there is a lot of discussion which is happening between the developed and the developing world all through. So I hope I have satisfied your query to the extent,
Yeah.
but we can have a longer discussion on
Longer
some
discussion.
point.
Yeah.
Yes, some point in time. So moving forward, if I talk of now the Indian companies at various levels of transition while driving sustainability. I have worked for more than a decade in Tata Group companies, and I have seen that how we have driven sustainability agenda and conservation agenda there in that organization. And in fact, in terms of commitments and targets, we took very, steep targets. We have done a forecast, we have done sustainability reporting, and also to, integrated reporting for some of the companies. Integrated reporting is that what kind of value creation you are trying to do, rather than doing only the financial disclosures. So there are various scientific methods in which which are being used. There are various frameworks which are being used in this direction. And you must have seen, all of you, that during the World Environment Day on 5th of January, people drive a lot of initiatives around environment and sustainability. And some of the companies are even doing year-long, month-long initiatives or drives to create that awareness around environment, sustainability, and society. So those are the things which are important and which are being recognized, and those are the best practices at various levels which the companies are trying to do. Beside this, I think this environmental consciousness is ingrained in us, from the olden days historically for us at the individual level. I was talking to Mr. Shetty some time back. We are saying that we were using banana leaves for our as our plates earlier. We were consuming, we are getting all the groceries in our bags, the cloth bags. Now everything is changed. Now packaging has totally changed, and that's what is the change which we need to see, that how we are copying the other countries, and we can even reduce our footprint. We need to be conscious, because the impact of climate change would be seen on everyone, and especially on the emerging. Because if we see India as a peninsular India, you see so much of sea covered by sea, three sides we have sea, and I think if the sea level rise will happen, the submergence of the land will take place. So these are the impacts which are going to be seen in the coming years, and that's how we need to be more conscious about this whole thing. Now, coming to that, another topic, which is the circular economy, which I have just mentioned. Earlier, we were having a linear economy. We used to buy stuff and throw it. Used to throw. I mean, like that. Even in the story of stuff, which you might have seen, some of you, that how the industries were consuming. They were having the resources. They were doing the mining. They were taking the stuff to the plant factories. They were making steel or cement, and they were doing a consumption pattern. And there used to be waste which used to go to the landfill. Similar for the household. But now we have seen that, okay, more is things are getting recycled, more things are getting reused, and obviously even you have seen new auto policy which says that after 10 or 15 years, a diesel vehicle has to be taken to dismantling. So these things are going to come up more, because this recycling will happen of material and goods going forward. And this cyclic flow of material is the right way to do in the cyclic way. So these are the things which are the concepts. And now what is the global sustainability agenda, and why so we are talking of the global sustainability agenda? We have seen some of the events which happened historically, the major disasters, so to say. One was 1984 Bhopal gas tragedy, where we saw that a lot of the carbide factory, it was set up in Bhopal by a US company. Why they have tried to offload their polluting industry to the developing countries, and that there was no regulation around that earlier. This Bhopal gas leak happened, and there were a lot of people which got impacted. Similarly, Chernobyl disaster, which happened in 1986, where the human lives got impacted, biodiversity severely getting impacted. And also there was an oil spill by Exxon in Alaska, which was harming the wildlife, the sea marine life badly. And that was a disaster which made the oil companies into a lot of bad branding, so to say. So these were the trends which we saw, which were major disasters, which we saw globally. And similarly, it was not only the disasters. We have also seen that there were global environmental movements which happened, and which reminded and highlight the importance of preserving only the living planet. And there are ways by which common citizens raise their voices on the environmental concern. And we have seen some of the initiatives like Chipko movement in India, which you must have heard, that when they were, it happened in Uttarakhand, where they were trying to make a dam by submerging a lot of forest. So they had a Chipko movement where people, came closer to the trees. They said, we are praying trees, and we don't have to create that kind of a destruction. So these are the moments which happened. Also, the WHO banned DDT, and the regulations which were also made to relocate all the polluting industries away from the developed and the underdeveloped world, because all the developing countries were putting all companies like carbide factories in Africa and India. So later on, there was a regulation which said that you should not put these companies outside your premises in case you want to make products and gases which are polluting of this kind. So these are the few things which happen. And when I talk of now, the international public disclosures, what happened based on all this, what we have just discussed, United Nations was keen in playing a good role, as as they always do, in terms of bringing in some guidelines, some directives for everyone. So 1992 UN conference talked about promoting sustainable consumption and production patterns, recognizing the environmental management and openness and reporting. But that came in 1992 after the Kyoto Protocol, which talked about that how the consumption patterns are impacting the globe, how the consumption patterns are adversely bringing out, very, very diversely living countries and creating different impacts. So they wanted to create a guideline document that how we can do a consumption and production, a recognition that how we should do consumption patterns. In 2002, the World Summit on Sustainable Development again endorsed sustainability reporting and encouraged the use of GRI framework, because obviously there was no guideline on mandating these frameworks. GRI came up, Global Reporting Initiative, which is a UN initiative, which came up with their guidelines that how we can play a role, and they released various indicators in economic, environment, and social. Later on, they added human rights to it. And these indicators, companies were choosing their own indicators and reporting that which are of their importance or material issues. So companies identifying the material issues, and they started working around 2002 using this framework of GRI for sustainable reporting. And this framework was widely getting used till today. Many companies are following GRI framework for reporting. But what we have seen that the GRI framework of sustainable reporting is different, and there's a financial reporting. So companies are coming out with two different reports, a sustainability report and a financial report. Later on, in 2012, IIRC came out with a framework which said that, okay, we should not only do sustainable reporting, and we should merge. And then SEBI also came out with a guideline of BRR, Business Responsibility Report, which was a small leaflet which people used to put with their financial report, which was talking about their sustainability initiatives. So those are the things which are like evolving and emerging, but there are issues with each one of the framework, and companies are adopting based on their convenience at the moment. So there is no regulated way. Generally, it's happening as and when they wanted to do, and what really they wanted to do and disclose. So the disclosures need to be consistent, but I think that is where the CS can play a good role. You have done wonderful work with your financial reporting, and also all the CFOs, the company secretaries, the treasuries, and the financial services people have done amazingly good job in terms of financial reporting and streamlining financial reporting to the extent we are using it today. Similarly, we need to do that kind of a transition and inclusion of sustainability in the whole reporting framework. And there, I think no other than all of you can play a big role in driving that, and in bringing to the light, because I think the consistency is very, very important there. And the Rio document, again, it is talking about the role of corporate sustainability and private sector contributions to the sustainable development. Obviously, the Rio was a summit, which was a government summit, where maybe multiple countries, more than 100 countries participated, their state heads participated. But they said that countries are actually, made up of industries and the corporations. And if the corporations are not doing enough, or the private sector is not doing enough, I think then it will not be a successful mission. And that's how they wanted to, that time they wanted to bring, this whole initiative of bringing corporates in the umbrella of sustainable reporting and sustainable development. And in 2015, the UN released the Sustainable Development Goals. And the good part is that these Sustainable Development Goals, these 17 goals, are very broadly listed, and they have 169 indicators. So if I talk of any goal, whether the goal on water or goal on partnership or goal on poverty, I think every country can, every company can, goal on education. So company has thematic areas for communities, and they have their own interest. They can prioritize their SDGs. They can identify targets or the goals from these SDGs, because each SDG has some indicators. They can identify those indicators, and they can prioritize that this is my 3 priority SDGs, and I'll work on it. And in India, Niti Aayog is keeping a tab on on these SDGs. So the Niti Aayog is aligned, and they have to deliver on all the SDGs by 2030. So 2030 is the timeline when they have this SDG will be closed, and each country will move the needle on their achievements in each such SDG. And there also the private sector and the industry and the corporations have a role to play. So this is about more of emphasizing the role of business in the society and the need for greater transparency, sustainability, and responsibility in business. So, so now moving forward, the sustainability, which has become the new normal, we have seen that there are a lot of focus. There's a need, and sustainability is taking a central stage. The concern over pollution and emission-based biodiversity loss, which have been evidenced for over half a century, but now these concerns are translating into action at an exponential rate, which we have seen around us. And then based on this, there are various targets, there are various initiatives which are driven at the national level or at the international level. So this particular framework is talking about how the future regulatory frameworks impact the whole value chain. And we need to be more collaborative. We need to be more, we need to build consensus around each such thing. And that's what we can translate into our achievements if we really want to drive sustainability as a new normal. So that's about this. Now, what are the winds of change in the corporate reporting, which we have seen from the present in the present day, from the day it has emerged in 2002, when they first said that the GRI is the framework. Now there are multiple frameworks, and it has evolved over a period of time. The scrutiny of ESG performances, which have accelerated, significantly, and everybody is looking at the performances. But the different frameworks are not comparable because they are having different indicators. So two companies, for example, if I talk of two power companies, they can be compared only if the parameters which they are reporting are more or less consistent and are coming out, because it's an apple to apple comparison. So it is, we need to have, why we are talking of the to bringing as a regulation is only for this reason. Because if we just give it a voluntary, touch and feel, and we go for voluntary reporting mechanisms, so everybody will choose their own reporting frameworks. And once they choose their own reporting frameworks, they choose their own indicators. So some of the, those are the challenges, or those are the issues which need to be addressed at the national level or more at a global level, because now the world is interconnected. So we can't see things in isolation in different countries. So that's basically is the reason that the investor community today, if we are having a company in India, we are raising funds from Europe, or we are raising funds from America. So I think the investor community is playing around the whole around everywhere, and that's how they wanted to see the real data. To see the real data, obviously we need to see the stability of the company, and the stability is not only related to the financial stability. It has to be stable in terms of their sustainability side. So which they see in the economic, social, and governance structure. So economically, the company is stable. How they are in the governance, how the boards are performing, what is the role of the board, whether board is also looking at shareholder value, or board is looking at the value creation model. So those are the things which need to be answered, and which needs to be brought to light at some point in time. So that's about the various reporting frameworks which are existing today, and the discrepancies or the disconnects or the gaps which we can see for the investor communities. So I can share with my example. I was in Tata Steel, and we did a CDP disclosure and the DGSI disclosure. And then we got a communication from one of the investors in Europe, and he said that you have mentioned this in your DGSI, you have mentioned something else in CDP, and your integrated report says this. So they wanted some clarity on the capitals. So those kind of questions come from the investor community. So which obviously we need to respond, because if we really want to raise the money from the outside world. So that's what is happening. The consistency of the reporting is very important. Using of different frameworks all needs to be aligned, and they need to have a right set of questions. It should not be, that different frameworks are using different questions and indicators. So that's about it. Now, when I talk of standard setters, there are various. We have just discussed the GRI is one standard, which was a UN listed standard. Then Sustainability Accounting Standard Board. This is mostly followed in US. This is a standard which also enables company to identify and manage financial material ESG for the investors. The investors are using it extensively. The integrated report, which is again the framework and the tool which emerged from the GRI, which says that, okay, we need to go one step further in our reporting, and we need to integrate financial reporting with the other financial capital reporting with other 5 capitals. So the other 5 capitals are social capital, natural capital, intellectual capital, human capital, and there's one more capital. So there are 6 capitals which needs to be reported, and the manufactured capital. So these are the 6 capitals which need to be reported on the integrated report framework. So this says that, okay, all are interconnected. As a company, we need to say what value we are creating in the ecosystem rather than just the financial or performances. So this integrated report have been published by some of the companies. In India, I think if I can say, around 20 companies published in 2018. 2019, there were more companies, and it's going up. So the top 1,000 companies, SEBI has requested to put voluntary integrated report, but some of the companies are publishing it. And the other is World Economic Forum, IBC. This is releasing a lot of protocols on how these reporting frameworks are working. So there, I think this is also one of the framework which is giving a kind of guidance to mostly all the frameworks. So these are the 4 broad ESG reporting frameworks and standards. They are releasing more of standard sides. There are climate-related reporting frameworks also existing. So CDP is more climate focused, and the Climate Disclosure Standard Board is also climate focused reporting framework. TCFD, which has come into light after Paris Convention, was mostly on the climate related risk of financial disclosure. So Michael Bloomberg came out with this proposal of TCFD. He said, if we follow the TCFD guidelines and use this framework, we will be able to know that what are the climate related risks and opportunities, because according to the TCFD framework, if there's a risk, obviously there will be an opportunity. And if you do this TCFD early in the organizations, you will come to know where to diversify, where to put the money, and where to get what is the opportunity for the businesses to grow, and what are the risks and threats. So you can work on your risks and threats, and you can also similarly put your effort and energy for the opportunities. So that's the TCFD framework. These frameworks are working very fine. The multiple companies reporting into these frameworks, at least for their own consumption. Sometimes they are trying to assess and put their data, and they are analyzing that where they stand in the present day, and how they are trying to take their targets and plans and aspirations for forecasting on the subject. So that's what is happening at the moment. in these climate-related frameworks. There are two UN initiatives and the frameworks which are there existing. There's a United Nations Global Compact, where this is a non-binding United Nations pact which encourages business, and there are 10 principles of UNGC, and obviously they have signed up. 160 countries have signed up for the UNGC compact, and we also have an office in India, which is a membership driven, where they are trying to share the best practices. It is a platform of capacity building in terms of driving the sustainability purpose and agenda. The sustainable development goals, we have discussed that there are 17 SDGs, 169 targets, and 2030 is the timeline which the governments have to report where they are on each SDG. So in case you are trying to do some initiatives on around SDGs in your companies, along with your environment leaders or sustainability leaders, it would be good to keep accounting of that, because then you can actually help the nation in building, in reporting their achievements in 2030. And this is a statistical data which can go in the government portals, what impact we are trying to create in our own in area of influence. So that's about various initiatives. Now you have seen that there are multiple initiatives, and these multiple initiatives are driving different reports, and so this is some of the things are voluntary. Mostly it is voluntary, and very few are mandatory. And you can see the number of ESG reporting provisions by region in 2020. Europe had 141 mandatory indicators in ESG, and 104 non-mandatory, which are voluntary indicators. But going forward, they will include more, because they will see that which is more impactful for the environment, which is more impactful for the community, and obviously for the nation. So they will be building on this, and especially on the climate side, there will be a lot of indicators which will become mandatory. There are more indicators from the human rights side which will become mandatory, which are not mandatory in the present day context. And supply chain related indicators will become mandatory in the coming days, because sustainability of the supply chains also is very, very crucial and important, which we have seen through the pandemic, that how the supply chains got disrupted, and the companies have their skin in the supply chains, because otherwise if the supply chain will not be sustainable. So those indicators will get included going forward. And this says that how many like how the ESG regulations have doubled in last 5 years. So ESG regulations, every year there will be some few additions in the regulations. In India also, we have seen earlier it was business responsibility report based on the national voluntary guidelines, but later on they wanted to do a business responsibility and sustainability reporting, where they might be adding some indicators going forward in their questionnaires of SEBI, which companies have to declare. So now I talk of the India map, and when I just say that in 2015, SEBI came up with the BRR guidelines, where they have mandated mandatory reporting, and which was initially given to 1,000 companies, irrespective of the fact whether you are taking a separate sustainability report. SEBI, the companies were supposed to submit their BRR to SEBI, then in 2017, IRDA came up with a stewardship code, where they said that this is the code which they have given for the insurance companies, just to see the stability of the insurance companies because of various disasters, various which we have seen, the emergencies and the kind of diseases which are now coming in. They wanted to have some mandatory codes for declaration from their companies. In 2017, SEBI have initiated integrated report. I think much before 2017, I remember we did the first integrated report in 2015 for Tata Steel. So this is a voluntary adoption, and this is basically on the value creation model of the companies, which actually talked about the shareholder, beside the shareholder value, what is the stakeholder proposition which we are trying to create. SEBI green security disclosures, this also came into existence in 2017, which was mandatory reporting to use proceeds of the green debt securities, and the raising the green bonds at the security boards, exchange board. In 2019, again, there was a stewardship code for the mutual fund categories, which was also talking about the investment in the listed equities. Ministry of Corporate Affairs now come up with a new guideline on sustainability reporting standard boards, which is talking of BRSR, which has to come into existence. And I think ICI is playing a key role in sustainability reporting standards board, creating the drafting the document for Ministry of Corporate Affairs there. So that's another aspect. Not moving. Now, when I talk of India, I think there are some companies which are very highly ranked on their ESG, setting aside, their goals, their priorities, and mapping on their ESG and raising a good amount from the investors outside India. These are the companies which you can see on your right. Infosys, Mahindra, Tata's, ITC, Vedanta, Wipro, HUL, Godrej, Aditya Birla, and Bharat Petroleum. So there are other companies also which are definitely doing very, very well, and they are performing well on their ESG, and they have performed well, and that's how year on year they are rated high on their ESG ranking. So ESG trends and market rewards, when I talk of the ESG in India, the rise of ESG in India, we have seen that ESG aligned companies perform better over long term. These are the researches which have been done by the financial institutions and various investor communities. And they said that ESG companies are more favored by the investors globally. They look at the ESG performance, and obviously they are more resistant to shocks and the risk, and they have a faster recovery of stocks in case there's a big impact which impacts the whole market. The revival is better in terms of the companies which are tracking their ESG and who are focusing on the ESG priorities. So that's the trend which have been analyzed, and which is helping organizations also to move from the present day to to the ESG reporting frameworks and to the future of this whole initiative. So how Indian players set up ESG, we have seen some of the initiatives. There's also an initiative between IFC and Yes Bank, where the bond reduces the cost of hedging. IFC leverage on the credit rating to draw investors, lower cost of capital. Similarly, IFC has come up with a Tata Group also with a green bonds, green initiative, green climate fund, which they call it, and they are working on together to invest in the clean energy, the clean technology space. There are social bonds, which is like India Bull has delivered 2 social bonds focused on affordable housing, where they said that the return is around 8.2% yearly, and these bonds are performing well, and they have been set up for the affordable housing sector. And CRISIL has also rated AAA these bonds, and ICRA also rated them AAA. They are listed on NSE and BSE. So these are the initiatives which are coming through in the green bonds or the social bond sector, which are very, very promising and giving good returns, which are going and building traction going forward. So some of the corporate recommendations for the people is that we should not wait for sustainability reporting to be mandated, because whatever we plan and do and create focus on, we will be able to achieve that. So we should be more committed to transparency and accountability, and the shareholder capitalism metric developed by the World Economic Forum. This is the place to start in case you really want to start sustainability reporting, you can look at the frameworks which are there existing and choose a framework in the beginning and then try to see that it's matching your requirement for the corporate. Put ESG and sustainability reporting on the board's agenda. This is an important thing. I remember we earlier had a board committee on environment, but later on that committee became the board committee on sustainability and climate. So these are the things which we can push our boards to as a company secretaries or the CFOs of the companies or at the financial heads of the companies. We need to put this as a board agenda, that ESG is important and we need to have a strategy around that. And obviously enterprise risk management should also put sustainability and climate as as one of the risk in their enterprise risk management tool, that what are the threats and the risk which can emerge from the climate change or the sustainability if we are not doing enough in the right direction. Seek assurance to build trust in the sustainability reporting. This is another step which we can do as chartered accountants. There are several ways that the companies are reporting and they are building their credibility to focusing on the controls and the procedures over sustainability reporting. And that's what we need to see the support financial reporting. Obviously integrating the finance function, which we spoke earlier, is very important. The CFOs and the financial controllers, they have extensive experience in establishing the processes, the mode of operation, the controls, and the assurance of financial information. And that's how, if they get involved as a cross-functional team in the organizations, their experience to support sustainability and ESG reporting will be commendable, and that in the end contribute to the standard setting process, where the companies are to be, we need to see that these standard setting processes need to work. From the voluntary, we need to move towards more mandatory disclosures, so that we can come there, so that the disclosures are comparable and the companies are comparable while for the investors. So these are various climate first approaches to ESG, what all we can do in terms of tracking environmental, social, and corporate governance, inputs, whether it's waste management, emission impact, energy efficiency, air water pollution, biodiversity loss, in social, human, labor rights, working conditions, health and safety, employee relation, employment equity, gender diversity, pay gaps, anti-corruption, all these part of the social. And even in the labor rights, I have come across a question which came to us that in the mining areas, how we are ensuring that the rise in temperature is not impacting our labor, and what are the working hours of the labor. So these kind of also questions being raised by the investor communities, because they wanted to see that what is your commitment towards your employees, towards your contract laborers. So those are the things which we really do need to be mindful. We need to be careful while doing all these mappings internally. And on the corporate governance, obviously ownership and structural transparency, shareholder rights, board to direct independence and oversight, diversity, data transparency, business ethics, executive compensation, fairness. These are the governance related matters which need to be, which are the risk and which need to be disclosed and managed when the environmental social impacts which we create in our organizations or in our communities are. So that's about the presentation. I will just talk about that who we are and why we are here. I'm a part of the GDS, the Global Delivery Services on Climate Change and Sustainability Services of EY, and we are having a 70 members team for financial services and non-financial services. We expertise in climate change, decarbonization, ESG, sustainability, and EHS. We have a good strength, a skill set, and sector expertise in all these areas. The sectors we are working in: energy, resources, consumer, financial services, government and public sector, real estate, construction, health and wellness, telecom, manufacturing, technology, media and entertainment. So we have experts from all these sides in all the verticals of climate and sustainability ESG space. We have our reach far and reach. We can reach in all these geographies where we are present, from Oceania, America. We are supporting from here. We are supporting the climate initiatives, the reporting disclosure, GHG inventory, all the various initiatives we are driving from here in India. And this team is very competent. We have centers in globally in other parts of the world also. So we are growing. We have a good team in Manila as well as in India. The Indian team and Manila team total strength is around 60. And we have a goal to play. We are passionate about the subject, and we are trying to help companies and regions in their driving their sustainability agenda. Our solution offerings, I've just discussed that we have in decarbonization, climate, ESG sustainability, and managed services. So, this is briefly about us. I really thank Asha, and I think in case Desh is there, to give me this opportunity to be part of this whole discussion today. At the end, I would like to just say that we all have a role to play in protecting our planet at individual as well as at corporate level. And we need to see that which role we can play and to what extent. Thank you for your time, and happy to answer any questions. Thank you so much.
Yeah, coming back to my earlier question, you said the developed countries are giving around $100 billion year after year. So is that money coming to developed countries for sustainability? How exactly that works?
So ideally it should come,
Mhm.
but it is not coming as of now. So
Mhm.
that's the debate, that this year also the German ambassador, chancellor, made a team with Canadian environment minister, and they wanted to see that how much money actually can be brought to the developing countries from these all Annex 1 countries. So to say, Annex 1 means developed world, because they have created the impact on the for the climate change, in whatever development they
Yeah,
have
over
done
the years, they
over
actually
the years.
enjoyed and
Yes. Yes.
utilized all the
Yes.
resources.
But so based, and when India was asking repeatedly that how the money will flow, they said the money will come to different countries for the viable gap funding. So in case you have a clean energy project, for example, we were generating power using subcritical power plants. Later on, we moved from subcritical to supercritical power plants, where we are doing efficient use of resources. We were getting this technology, and then they said that okay, these will be funded, there will be viable gap funding for these projects. But what we have seen, this funding is not coming through. And when it was raised, they said it will be addressed. And till date, in the last Glasgow meeting also, there was no consensus that how the money should flow, how the project should be identified, which project should get the money, what will be the transparency model around that. So these things were not finalized, which they say that over a period of next 1 year they'll finalize. But this money, and next year is a very crucial year because it's a stock taking year. So stock taking is after every 5 years. The sixth year is a stock taking year, because we didn't have the conference of party meeting in 2020 because of the pandemic. It got postponed to 21. And in 20, the next year will be the stock taking year, that they will see that whatever they have committed in the Paris Agreement, if the country is on achieving that, then how this money should flow to them and what kind of project. So yeah, I think that will be a crucial year. Next COP would be very crucial. And this is the dilemma right now which a developing world is facing. And if you can, if you can look at some of the videos which have come from the state heads in Africa and India, they spoke about this funding, and it is not coming through, Mr. Shetty, as of now.
Mhm. What about this green credit? How exactly one can use that green credit and how it will help the person who is really contributing something for the environment and
So I think
making help.
we need to build that system of green credit. So there are some of the things which are happening. For example, UK is coming out with a green border tax. So if something is getting manufactured outside UK and it is not manufactured responsibly, there will be some green border tax, because you know the cost of making something. For example, I'm just giving you one example of steel. If we are making steel in India using coking coal, and we are exporting that steel, because obviously making that steel is easier and cheaper than somebody who's using in European Union, making a steel with using hydrogen as instead of coking coal. So obviously the cost of making would be higher, right? So while exporting that, they will be putting some green border tax. If you are not producing some product or services efficiently or having a lower footprint of carbon, there will be some carbon taxes. And the green taxes are basically those taxes which will be put or levied on the products and services which are not, compliant to the quality standards or the climate quality standards of any country or nation.
No, so such taxes or such money, thus collected resources, are the government giving for those who are really giving the producing this environment friendly resource energies or any other uh, sustainable
So
activities.
that's a discussion which is ongoing everywhere. They're saying that
Mm.
how we are going to reward the companies which are doing better work, driving better initiatives, and trying to do for the environment and the sustainability and towards climate. If they are addressing issues, how they can be rewarded. So
No,
these are
that
the
may be,
regulatory things. These are
yeah,
more of a regulatory things which need to come in play.
that may be inter-country, but within the country, if some company is doing better, so how the credit they get,
See, they are just getting
how
maybe
it can be
20.
monetized.
Yeah, so the monetization is only from the investor side at the moment, because they are getting maybe 25 basic point less rate of interest, right? But going
Mm-hmm.
forward, if this becomes a regulation, then they can demand that, okay, we need to be, we need to be tax exempted, or we need to be, there might be some taxes which government can, levy on companies, or the corporate taxes. They will definitely ask for reduction of all of that. But right now, because this is not regulated market, there is no regulation around it. It is all voluntary. Right now, it's a brand value proposition. Like
Even
if I am doing, I'm
that
creating a differentiator.
green credit is currently it is not tradable, no?
No, it is not tradable. The green credit is not tradable at the moment. And there
Mm.
is no carbon tax which is tradable at the moment.
Okay. So is there any plan future that it will become a tradable
The
commodity kind of
carbon
a thing?
market, was existing in 2002 to till 2004-5, but after that, that market collapsed because of the negotiations which didn't go well within the countries. So they obviously there's a talk that we can have a voluntary markets within the country, where we can put in money in the clean development. If the money is not coming through external sources, we need to see that we need to build that self-sufficient model within the country. So the discussions are on at the government level, at the policy level, but obviously it has to see some light of the day in the coming years.
Attendees, participants, do you have any questions? Please post it. Yeah, coming to what all the goals currently India has this zero, what is that, emission by 2070. So 50 years
Yes.
down the line. So that is the target now. How India is working in that front?
So India has taken a target under a lot of pressure, so to say, because I'm like moving in the circles where I hear that initially the government was not very keen in taking any target, because the whatever was committed to the developing nations in terms of the climate fund support, that was not coming through. And as it is, India is on track for their 2030 goals, which they committed in the Paris Agreement. So India was not so keen. But there was a lot of pressure from from Alok Sharma, who's the secretary, who was leading the COP26 from the UK government, and also from the US. You might have seen that in the last quarter, in the before this COP, there were multiple visits by John Kerry and Alok Sharma and meeting all the ministers. So that happened. They tried to negotiate, and they said, you take a target. If you will not take a target, we'll restrict countries which are not taking target for carbon neutrality from this fund. So that was, I think, kind of an agreement which happened at that point in time, where this thing has happened, where India took a target of 2070. But I think at the same time, India was very, very keen in driving sustainability and climate agenda, and we are doing all the things right, to our 2030 target. We are much ahead in terms of our achieving the targets of 2030, where we committed 40% renewable by 2030, and we will be achieving that, I think, maybe earlier than 2030.
Yeah, coming back to the old question only, that whatever that 100 billion the developed countries is giving year after year, that's supposed to come to the developing countries. So I think there may be some roadmap for that, no, in the coming COP maybe.
Yes, yes. I think over the year, there will be discussions around that, how the money should flow, what are the projects which should get the money, and there will be a kind of a guidelines which need to be collaboratively built to see that how this will come in light, and how the funds will flow for the clean development in the developing world.
Yeah, I think that's all the questions I have as of now. So I think no other questions available in the chat box. We had a fabulous sessions. I think you give answer for all the queries and enlightened us. Thank you very much on behalf of Bangalore branch and on behalf of all the participants here. Our wholehearted thanks to Taruna Saxena. Thank you very much, ma'am, for your precious time and valuable knowledge shared with us. Thank you once again. Thank you very much. Participants, you are the reason for this program. Thank you very much for your participants. So we'll see you in our next meeting. Tomorrow we have another meeting on GST reconciliation. Please attend for the tomorrow's program. It is a hybrid mode. So yes, ma'am.
So I think I lost you in between.
Yeah.
So I think we are done, right?
Yeah. So thank you very much. We had a fabulous session. So you answered all our queries. Thank you very much once again on behalf of Bangalore branch and on behalf of all the participants here.
But I hope it is a limited circulation. I spoke about a lot of things which might not be relevant for everyone.
Yeah, but it's okay. It is anyhow is new topic for many of us.
Okay.
So I think once it becomes mandatory and more people will take it up voluntarily. Even smaller companies also will come to in the line. So it is emerging. Yes. Thank you very much
Thank you so
for
much.
this. Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you, ma'am. See all participants tomorrow.